Wine woke up in the morning and saw Jungkook was already up. She heard the noise of the shower from the bathroom and immediately remembered that they have to go to a function today. She panicked because she was already late. She was about to get up from the bed, but Jungkook came outside the washroom and saw her sitting on the bed. Jungkook, you're still in the bed? I told you to get up early today. Wine, sorry Jungkook, it was just about one day, and you couldn't even do that. Now get ready fast. Wine nodded and immediately got up from the bed to go to the washroom. She got ready as fast as she could to not get scolded by him once again because she is scared of him and his scolding. But she still longs for him. She still wants his attention, his time, and his love. She still wants him to talk to her in a soft voice. Wine sat alone in the party while scrolling through her phone. She didn't know anyone in the party, but she had to come because it was Jungkook's friend's wedding. She greeted everyone, but then sat on one of the tables, looked here and there, while Jungkook was busy with his friends. She didn't enjoy the wedding at all. She was looking down to avoid any kind of conversation with anyone. Suddenly, she heard a loud cheering voice of a man who stood right in front of her. Wine, is that you? She looked above to see who it was, and she was completely surprised after looking at him. She smiled widely as she remembered her old school friend, Shino. She stood up to meet with him, and he hugged her all of a sudden. She was surprised but showcased a fake smile. Shino, how are you? What are you doing here? Wine, you must know Jungkook, right? I'm his wife, she said with a genuine smile on her face. Shino's smile disappeared and he said, You're married already? Wine nodded and he stared at her for a few seconds as he tried to process it. Shino had always had eyes for Wine, but thinking that she is married didn't hurt him that much. But the fact that she is married to Jungkook, the greatest rival of himself, made his blood boil. His fingers clenched into fists and his eyes grew dark. Shino, what did you say? Jungkook? Wine. Shino, are you okay? She asked warmly. Shino, well, Wine, would you like to dance with me? He said as he fakely smiled at her. Wine. No, Jungkook must be coming any second. Shino punched the wall forcefully, making her stop. Shino. Jungkook, Jungkook, Jungkook. Wine was startled because of him. She looked here and there, but she sighed when she realized that everyone was busy with themselves. No one heard Shino because of the loud music and the chatter. Shino. Why is everything always about Jungkook? Why does everyone want Jungkook and refuse me? Wine. Shino, she said as she took a step back from him. Shino looked at her, getting back as so he said, You're also refusing me, she said and held her wrist forcefully. Wine was so scared she was about to scream, but before that, Shino pulled her forcefully into a kiss with himself. Wine gasped, and she tried her best to get rid of him. But he was too strong. Wine had no chance. He kept kissing her until he realized someone was looking at them. It was just one of the guests, but then they told their partner too. They both were looking at Shino and Wine. Shino immediately pulled away from Wine and slapped her. Shino, what the hell are you doing, Wine? Are you in your senses? Shino said in a loud voice to make sure that everyone listened, even through the music. And before she knew, everyone was looking at her. Her eyes widened, and her hand was on her cheek, the one he slapped on. Shino, how could you do this? You're married, he said while wiping his lips in disgust. Vine was stunned at his play. She didn't have any words. She shook her head in denial and said, Me? What the hell are you doing? I considered you a friend. As she was speaking, he cut her off with his loud voice. Yeah, we're just friends, and Jungkook is my closest friend of all. How could you do this to him? What kind of disgusting person are you? He strolled away from the hall right after saying that, without letting her say a word. She looked around her, and everyone was looking at her. Their eyes were full of hate for her. She's all over that guy. I can't believe she'd do that to Jungkook. Did you see how she was kissing him? Disgusting. I told you, Jungkook was too good for her. She should have married someone of his own class. These low-class bosses are always like that, catching one or another in their traps. Tears formed in Vine's eyes as she listened to everyone. She picked up her bag and started running towards the door. But her heels were making it difficult for her, and before she knew it, she slipped while running. She closed her eyes because she knew it was over once she fell. She won't be able to get up if she fell. She won't have the courage to. But she landed on something soft and warm. She opened her eyes and saw Jungkook in front of her, staring at her while holding her in his embrace. Her mascara was already spread on her face, but he went ahead and wiped her tears while holding her in one hand. Jungkook made her stand, but one of her heels was broken, so she couldn't stand straight. Jungkook looked at her heels and picked her up in bridal style, making her startled. He bent down and picked her heels too, and then he looked around. His one gaze was enough to make everyone shut up. Everyone knew what it meant to add fire in his anger. They didn't want to die yet. Vine looked at him and said, Jungkook, I wasn't. Let's talk outside, Vine, he said without looking at her, and started walking towards his car. As they sat in the car, they both were silent. Vine wanted to tell him everything, that she was forced, that she loves him, and can never even think about betraying him. But she didn't know what to say or where to start. Finally, she gathered the courage, and she was about to say something, but she couldn't. She gasped when his lips crashed upon hers. Vine's eyes widened, but his gaze kept getting deeper. He was totally himself now, and he knew what he was doing. After a few moments, when he broke the kiss, she sat quietly and breathed heavily. Vine, you know that I didn't do anything, right? At least you trust me, right? She asked hesitatingly. Jungkook, I know. He looked at her and smiled. Jungkook, you don't need to tell me. I always knew. And I always trusted even when I didn't say anything. Vine's eyes widened when she heard that he always trusted her. Jungkook chuckled. I always ignored you and my feelings. But when I heard everyone that you both were kissing, his fingers clenched into fists. Jungkook, how dare he even touch you? His jaw clenched and his fists tightened. Jungkook, you're mine and only mine, he said and kissed her again, roughly this time. He started getting below her neck and kept throwing kisses to her. She didn't refuse him. It was the first time he was doing this, She wanted to do it back, in fact. As he was breathing heavily in anger, Vine saw him. She got scared as she looked at him, but she hugged him and smiled to calm him down. Fine. I'm so relieved you trusted me. He came into his senses and smiled when she hugged him. He hugged her too while patting her back. Jungkook, I want you, Vine. I can't even handle the thought of losing you. I will kill that Shino. As he was saying things in anger, Vine held his fist softly and looked at him while still hugging him. She smiled while looking at him. Vine, don't worry. I'm safe. I'm yours. Jungkook looked in her eyes and got lost. He exhaled deeply and pulled her head in his embrace. Jungkook, I thought I never felt anything for you, but after what happened, my blood boiled. I love you, Vine. She held his hand, which was on her head, and moved close to him, closing their lips in yet another kiss. She poured all her love and warmth in it. Her kiss was opposite to his. It was soft, warm, and full of emotions that she felt at that moment. Tears started welling up in her eyes, not because of the pain, but because of him. Fine. So, are you calm now? Jungkook. Not until I become the reason of Shino's last breath. Fine. But I thought I could calm you down, she said and crossed her arms against her chest. Fine. You're still thinking about Shino, not me. Jungkook. So you want me to think about nothing else except you? Vine nodded angrily. Jungkook smirked. Then kiss me again. Vine. Really? You will forget about him then? Jungkook nodded, so she kissed him. Fine. Are you fully mine now? Jungkook. Not yet. Kiss me again. Vine made a pout and said, I know you. If I do this, we will be here the whole night. Jungkook. That's actually my plan. Why? You don't want me to be yours? He said and ran his hand against her waist. Jungkook. Make me yours, Vine. Kiss me like you mean it. Vine. I'm getting out, she said and was about to open the car door, but Jungkook pulled her from her waist. She chuckled as she tried to get rid of him. Jungkook. I will be yours today.